This is what they look like around the 1st of May, right after I planted them. I planted 3 slips each of yellow jersey, garnet red, and Myanmar. This is what they look like about a month later. It takes that long for the vines to start growing well. Even though I started with 2 straw bales tied together, by the time harvest time rolls around, you can't see the bales anymore. If you're interested in knowing how I condition the bales and prepare them for planting, I have videos that I'll link down below. Before I can harvest, I go ahead and cut a lot of the vines off around the straw bale so I can see what I'm doing and so you can see what I'm doing. You can't see it in the video, but these vines cover the ground about 4 to 5 feet in front of the bales also. If you've never grown sweet potatoes before, the vines will crawl along the ground and root in many places. Some varieties will even make small potatoes far from the original slips. Now that I have the vines out of the way, you can see how I watered these 2 bales. I just have 1 1/4-inch line that came from my drip irrigation, and on each bale I had 2 drippers. Now that we can see the top of the bales, I can already see a few garnet red sweet potatoes that are sticking out of the top of the bale. That variety did very well for me last year, and it looks like it's going to do very well for me this year too. The yellow jerseys are in the front, so we'll just start with those. Even though we're starting with the yellow jerseys, I can already see some of the garnet reds. The first ones I'm pulling out are pretty disappointing. But as you could probably tell from the thumbnail of this video, the best is yet to come. Right behind the yellow jerseys is a real nice garnet red, but I'm going to go ahead and finish harvesting the yellow jerseys before we move on. The next one that's coming out looks a little better than the bunch before, but the rest of this slip is still a little bit on the thin side. I should let you know that I didn't fertilize these bales at all once they were planted. The only fertilizer they got was the fertilizer that was used to condition the bale before I planted. There's another garnet red just begging to be harvested. And another real nice one. One thing I really like about growing sweet potatoes in straw bales is they come out fairly easily without digging, and they all come out nice and clean compared to the ones I've grown in the soil. It looks like that's about it for the yellow jerseys, so I think we can move on to the garnet reds. And it doesn't take much moving of the straw to start finding them. If you're interested in seeing how these garnet reds did last year for us, I'll put a link to that video down below. And I also have a video on growing yellow jersey sweet potatoes in a grow bag, and they did much better for me in the grow bag for some reason, so I'll put a link to that also. Now I'm going to trim some of these vines back a little, then we'll reposition the camera and start harvesting again. Now we're going to dig into the heart of the area where the garnet red sweet potato slips were. And as you can see, there's already quite a few pretty nice ones just waiting for me to pull them out. Sometimes there will be several that are kind of attached by roots, so I try to be careful not to break them too much. That's a real nice one there. And there's another one right next to it. As I was pulling these out, I couldn't help but wonder what it would have been like if I would have just planted 9 slips from the garnet reds instead of the 3 from the yellow jersey and 3 from the Myanmar. One thing I've noticed about the Garnet red sweet potatoes is not all of the potatoes are directly under the slip. They will stretch out a little bit, and sometimes they'll even form potatoes on the vine that is several feet from the actual slip. I've grown probably about a dozen or so different types of sweet potatoes, and next year I think I'm going to only grow a couple of the ones that have done the best for me. As you can see here, there's quite a few nice ones right under the slip, and even lower below the slip there are a couple of nice ones. Keep in mind that all of these Garnet red sweet potatoes came from just 3 slips. So like I mentioned before, it would have been interesting to see how 9 slips would have done. Even though I didn't fertilize after I planted this year, I think I might just try fertilizing a few times next year just to see what happens. I think I'm running out of potatoes over on this end, so I'll go see what we have next to the pruners over there. I know we have a couple, so we'll see what's below there. There's a real nice one. Actually, that's one of the nicer ones. It looks like it broke off on the end. Looks like we have one more Garnet red, and now we're starting to get over into the area with the Myanmar sweet potato slips. And so far, there's not a whole lot to brag about with those. Looks like just some small ones from the first slip. And I can see a few small ones from the slip on the other end of the bale too. I'm going to go ahead and gather up what we have here. Then I'm going to put them on a tarp and we'll see what we have. Here's a look at the Garnet red sweet potatoes. Those are just some really nice looking potatoes, in my opinion. And all of these are right out of the straw bale. I didn't clean them off a bit. Right next to the red Garnet is the yellow jerseys, and I only had one nice one out of that whole group of 3 slips. I've grown the Myanmar before, and they've never done well for me, so I think this will be my last time growing those. One important thing to know about growing sweet potatoes is that before you eat them, you should cure them. To cure them, try to keep them around 80 to 85 degrees for about a week and a half or 2 weeks. And also they need to be in high humidity, up around 85 or 90%. If you grow sweet potatoes, let us know what your favorite type of sweet potato to grow is. And if I haven't grown it before, I might just give it a try. Don't forget to like and share this video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. We'll see you next time.